In this video, we're going to learn about, I'm going to teach you two new functions. I think in CMU CS Academy, it only teaches randrange and only part of it, but we're just going to talk about all the random functions and their features just briefly. So we'll go with what CMU CS Academy teaches explicitly in the lessons, which is the randrange function. So rand stands for random, and it's a random number within a range. And the base input that it takes, the required input that randrange needs to have to work, is a low value and a high value, and it'll get you a random number between those two. So if I say from 0 to 10, this line of code will generate some random number between the number 0 and 10. But we don't get to see what it does unless we use it, visually in the canvas, or I'll just make a little example where I'll store that random value in a variable called x, and then I'll just print out the value of x just so we can see what's going on here. Now if I run this, and we look down at the console, we'll see, all right, it generated the number 9. If I run it again, well, it's going to choose another random number between 0 and 10. It generated the number 2. Run it again, we'll see a 7, and it's just going to keep generating a new number between the values 0 and 10. A very important detail about this: when you choose your range, which we have right now between 0 and 10, the numbers that it can generate do include 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I don't know, I wasn't really counting right, and 9. It does include this bottom number and all the numbers between the bottom and the high, but it does not include that higher number. So this will never generate a 10. Also notice it's only generating integers, which is an important detail to pay attention to. So this is randrange is going to generate a random number between 0 and 10, including 0, but not including 10 or excluding 10. So it can be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, but not 10. If I wanted to include a 10, well, I just make my range between 0 and 11, and now it can include 10 because it doesn't include the top number. Really useful in a lot of different ways. We'll see some examples of it, but the main thing is just knowing how those boundaries go. It's really easy. I'm stressing it again. It's really easy to forget that the top number is not included, and you might come into errors at some point where it's not working quite right because it'll never get that top number. And we can show an example of that by saying, all right, let me get a random number between 0 and 1. If I run this forever now, I don't know if you can see, maybe I got to zoom in here. It will only ever generate a 0 because I'm getting a random number between 0 and 1, but I don't include the 1. It'll only ever be 0. Another thing that I think is kind of valuable. So you got random range between 0 and whatever you want, right? You could also go from like -50 to 50 or -50 to 51 in case you want to include a chance to have 50. And you can have negative numbers in there. 38 we got the first time. Run it again. Oh, loading. There we go. A 3. Run it again. Got a 47. Ooh, does it not include negatives? That's interesting. Oh, there it is. It does include negatives. All right, there you go. It all works. I don't think they have this next one in the lesson, but I do want to point it out as just kind of like a neat thing to do. So let's say I wanted to go again between 0 and 10, not including the 10, but I wanted to have decimal numbers also. Well, randrange will get integers between the high and the low, or between the low and the high, and you can get a decimal part of a number by saying, all right, I'm just going to say random. And this function doesn't require any input. It will just generate a random decimal between 0 and 1. So I believe it can be 0.00, and I think it maxes out at 0.9 repeating. We can just double check that. Returns a random float value from 0 to 1. I guess we just have to test out to see if it ever does give a 1. But a nice thing that you can do from this, and I don't think they show you this here, is if I wanted to, I could now get a random decimal number instead of just integers between 0 and 10 just by getting the rand range from 0 to 10, getting a random number, a random decimal, and I put them together, and now I include decimals in this generation over here, right? Now it's 2.7. Now it's 9.8, blah, 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 blah. You could even, instead of printing them together, you could maybe have some third z value that's just equal to x plus y. And now I have, in a single variable, that random decimal number. That's about it for rand range. I also added random. They do include an optional, you can see in the documentation here, they do include an optional step over here, which I don't think they talk about in the CS lesson. Oh, this is not updated. It says 7.3.1. I'm pretty sure it's on like 8.2 now. Anyways, if you want to see how that step works, basically what you do is you put in some other integer, and then it will only get random numbers on that step. So if I only want random even numbers, and I can get rid of, I'll comment these out, switch this back to an x. If I wanted only random even numbers, I could say we'll step by 2. So it'll be 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. And if I run it, just to test it out, I got an 8 there, I got a 6 there, I got another 8, I got another 0. Notice we're not getting any odd numbers because I'm stepping by 2. If I wanted to step by 3, I could do that too. So then the things I can get are 0, 3, 6, and 9. I could get 4 possible different numbers here. So we got a 0 again this time. Got the 6 that time. Let's see if we can get all of them. Got the 0 again. I'm trying to hit the 3 and the 9 as well. There's the 9. And let's see if we can roll a 3 here. Hey, we got a 3. So yeah, just that's rand range for you. That's random for you. And a little bit of bonus for rand range with a step, which is you might not want to be able to choose every single number, but just specific numbers for whatever you're making. You know, who knows what you're making. That's it for the video. We'll see an example of me using, actually I already used random in the volleyball game I implemented before, so we'll have one video talking about that, and then one other video just doing some other little sample project just so you can see like, oh, this is how it's used. All right, see you in the next one.